Hi guys. So today we're going to be starting at chapter 10. This is about statistics and stuff. So first thing that we're going to have to do is look at our vocab. So first vocab is survey. So this is a study of one or more characteristics of a group. So something that we could take a survey of would be a survey of Miss Harner's, so Miss H's algebra 1 class. Okay. A population then is the entire group you want information about. So the population here would be the first, second, and fifth period classes. Because that is all of the Algebra 1 classes that I have. We do take surveys of entire population, so that is called a census. You guys have probably been hearing about that lately because they are taking the 2020 census. So a sample is a survey of a part of the population. So if I were to just ask first period, that would be a sample of the entire population of Ms. Harner's Algebra 1 classes. There is such a thing as bias sample, so this is a sample that is not representative, so that should be a not. Parts of the population may be overrepresented or underrepresented. So then there are a couple different sampling methods. So first thing we are going to have is random sample. So this is every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. So an example of this would be everyone has a name on a popsicle, and I randomly draw one. So with that, obviously everyone would have an equal chance of getting drawn. So then we come to our next one. Okay. So this one is the population is divided into distinct groups. Members are selected at random from each group. So for example of this one, I would split the population into first, second, and fifth period. Okay. And then I would select students from each of those groups. Systematic sampling is a rule is used to select members of the population. So if, for example, this one could be only selecting students with, let's just say, blue eyes. Okay, so obviously with this one, there's a rule. Obviously then there's more than people, students have more than just brown or blue eyes. They could have brown, gray, all of those. Okay, next one that we have for our sampling is convenience sample. So only members of the population who are easily accessible are selected. So for example, this one, if people are standing in line to see a Marvel movie, and you survey their favorite movies type of thing. Okay. And then the last one that we're going to talk about is self-selected sample. So members of the population select themselves by volunteering. So an example of this is if you like go in to like donate blood or something. So the scientists survey people that donate blood. Okay. So going back to like the bias sampling, if you don't want any bias whatsoever, usually the random sampling is going to be your best option. With bias though, usually these two right here, our last two, are going to be pretty biased. So for example, the one that we had here, obviously if they're standing in line for a Marvel movie, pretty good chances that their favorite kind of movies are going to be like the action movies. And then for self-selected, people that are going to donate blood, there's going to be people that are too afraid to donate blood just because they don't want to deal with the needles or the blood. So you're only going to get a certain population with these two options. You could also have a little bias depending on what you are asking with these two. So these may be biased. Not necessarily, but there is a chance. Okay. So let's move on to example 1. So first thing, we are going to be classifying the sample method. So the owners of a company with several factories conduct a survey to determine whether employees are informed about safety regulations. At each factory, 50 employees are chosen at random to complete the survey, identify the population, and classify the sampling method. Okay, so population. All right, so they are surveying the employees of this company. So that is going to be who we are looking at the information for. So employees. And our sampling method. So if you look at here, we are looking at each factory. So 50 employees are chosen at random. So first thing that they did is they separated each factory. So this one is saying that we are splitting the population. So we split the employees into those factories. So it is going to be this type of random sampling. Okay. All right, so what I want you guys to do is pause this video real quick, and then I want you guys to try B. Okay, once you have your answer, then you can play it and see if you agree with what I got. Okay, so it says, in the above example, suppose the owners survey each employee whose last name begins with M. Okay, classify the sampling method. So this one we are giving a rule saying that you are only allowed to get questioned if your last name begins with M. So on here, that one really wouldn't make sense because they're not volunteering. This one really isn't that too much, that one. I think there's going to be a better one. So then for this one, if you look at systematic, it says only selecting students with blue eyes. Well, we're only selecting employees with the last letter M. So it is going to be a systematic sample. Okay. All right, let's do the next page then. So example 2. So for this one, we are identifying potential biased samples. So reading A, it says, in example 1, suppose the owners questioned 50 workers chosen at a random from one factory. Is this method likely to result in a biased sample? Okay, so It's either a yes or a no question, and then I do want you guys to explain why you think that. So for this one, since we are only choosing one factory, I would say it is biased. So yes, it is going to be biased. The reason I say this is because workers at the other factories may have different opinions than the ones that you're asking from that one factory. So for example, let's just say one of these factories is in Alaska and all of the other ones are in Texas. And they ask the ones in Alaska if they think that it is too cold in the places or something in the factories. Obviously, the people in Alaska are going to have a different opinion than all of the other ones in Texas. Okay, so we are going to stop here today. There is going to be kind of a couple examples I want you guys to try out on these, and then we'll finish up the rest of these notes tomorrow.